Check, check. Everyone's still finding a seat. Look at the turnout today. A lot of the same faces again. I feel like, wow, the family's growing, but also still here. I haven't been abandoned by everyone I care about. Thank you so much for being here. Okay, welcome to DEVx, hosted by Ed.
Ooh.
I'm really glad you guys are here. Nothing is better for my Sundays than spending them with like-minded engineers, which leads us into this next little slide, which is what is DEVx about? Well, I'm going to keep it simple. We're just a community of like-minded engineers that are all here to share our passion about technology, talk about tools and whatnot. I want to take a quick moment to thank the organizers for helping out. This is our little list of organizers. Zane's not here today, but the rest of us getting pizza. AJ, did we have the sponsor today paying for pizza?
Next month.
Next month we'll have a sponsor paying for pizza, but until then, we're paying for the pizzas out of our pocket just to be able to try and encourage people to come in and make it a good little community, and I'm really grateful that some organizer other than me has paid for them. So thank you for that, guys. A quick shout out to our host, Edge. Edge is a crypto wallet, and they own this building, or they're lending us this building to be able to have our events at. It's an open source app. You can check it out on GitHub. If you've ever used crypto in a crypto wallet and wanted to be able to suggest changes, this is the way to be able to do it. You could be part of your own crypto wallet community going on. If you want to connect to the Wi-Fi, the Wi-Fi name is Edge Guests, and the password is I like big bits, all lowercase. The bathrooms are right down the hall. They should be unlocked, but if they're not, there's as you're leaving, a little sign with the number for the bathroom. I feel like that is an important thing for any event, that you can use the bathroom. If you found us on Meetup, we are on Meetup, but also we're on Luma. Luma is the next best Meetup, and it's better. It's a better user interface. It's better for us being able to send out notifications to our members without like spamming them with events and whatnot. If you open it up, you'll immediately understand how it is a better interface. I feel like it's also growing. There's a lot more events on there than there were on Meetup. Easier to find things related to your interests. I'm going to go over the agenda really quick. So we all had our little networking lunch. You had pizza and drinks. Everyone's already eaten with us. And then now we're going to begin our speaker presentations. We have 3 slots. So our first slot is going to be a longer slot than the other 2. We're not timing anyone, but we try and keep it around our last slots longer than the first 2. The first 2, since we're not timing them, we try and ask you guys to keep it a little short. Usually we have 2 people who are presenting kind of a smaller little presentation, sharing an idea, and then one that's a bigger block of time. That way we can have more time for someone to talk. After we have the speaker presentations, we'll have some community announcements. We'll invite you guys, anyone who wants to, just to come up and say whatever you're working on or whatever you're interested in. This is the presentations that we give before that. There's a sign up if you wanted to come back on the next events. We hold them once a month on Sundays. If you ever wanted to give a presentation about technology you're working on or something you're excited about, you're always welcome to sign up for that. But even if you didn't sign up, or this is your first event and you're just hearing about it now and you have something you want to share, we really encourage, we want the community to be able to invite everyone to learn, hear, know things that are going on in each other's lives. After community announcements, we'll have a network hangout and code event, which is basically like the networking beforehand with food, except there's less food because we ate it all. All right, going over our speakers real quick, we're going to have AJ and Keith. You see the one lightning bolt? That's for fast. And then the thunderstorm, that means it's going to last a little while. So AJ and Keith are going to be giving some talks, and then we'll have Hans coming up and building a code review tool for work. And without any further ado, I am going to invite up AJ to present.
Hey, do you guys hear me? Oh, I got a thumbs up in the back. Ooh, everyone in the back row. Good back. Okay. So I'm gonna plug my computer in right now, and hopefully it screen shares in the exact way I want it to, which it didn't. 1 second. Guys, help me out. Where is it? Displays? And then instead of mirroring, let's do
How many software engineers does it take to set up
20. Stop mirroring. Oh my gosh.
Works on my machine.
Good. There we go. Okay, that was great. Good start. So, am I already? There we go. Okay. Hello. This talk is called Flipping Animations, a simple way to animate between states. My name is AJ, if we haven't met yet. I'm one of the organizers around here. If you're new visiting, welcome. We're glad to have you. As a caveat, I just moved apartments this week, and there were 2 days where I received less than 2 hours of sleep. So if I pass out, I nominate you, thank you, to catch me. What's your name?
Jonathan.
Thank you, Jonathan.
You're doomed.
Glad you're here. Oh, I had slides for this one. Cool. Oh, it was Sam originally, but you're great. So a few questions. Who has used the CSS transition property? Good show. Wow, dense. Transform? Even more. Who has heard of flip? Oh, we got one. Very good. So flip. That was a hard P. It's 10 years ago, this term was coined by Googler Paul Lewis at a Chrome Dev Summit. Today, it has a green slot plugin and an animation library. It's built into Svelte, a front-end framework, and it's embedded in Framer Motion, a popular React animation framework. It stands for, first, capture the first state of the element. Last, capture the last state of the element. Invert, apply inverted state difference to the last state so that it looks like the first state. We're going to go through examples. It'll be great. And finally, play. Animate smoothly from the first state, from the inverted first state to the last state. Normal animations. So as we talked about, transitions with animatable properties, like width, height, top, left, bottom, right, you set your transition to width 200 milliseconds with an easing function. And then you modify the width from this big to this big, and it'll slowly expand according to your easing function. Pros, easy. Con, it increments in pixels. We'll have a demo with this. So it's really cottage cheese chunky. It'll as you transition, it'll jitter as it's moving. Con, it constantly triggers layouts while it's animating. So if you have a bunch of boxes on your page, and then one box at the top gets bigger or smaller, it's gonna move and continuously lay out all the other boxes while the top one's animating. Not fun. And also cons, some properties are not animatable, like display or flex box properties. Did that just go all of them at once? That's okay. And so the alternative is flip. That does have a con. It's more complicated. but it has subpixel updates. So instead of jittering as it's moving, it's just like a buttery smooth animation. You avoid continuous layouts because you're modifying properties directly, or because you're not modifying the properties directly. You can leverage the GPU by using transforms like translate, rotate, skew. We can animate things that aren't usually animatable. So not just width, height, top, left, position and stuff, but you could animate like a layout. There's going to be demos, I promise. And we do the work before the user can notice, like in the first 100 milliseconds as we're starting the animation. Okay, demos. Okay, now I want to mirror it, kind of. That's okay, though. Get ready. Okay, first demo. This is a transition with just moving the top from like 50 pixels to 200-ish. And if we zoom in a bit, you're going to see it act a little chunky. So I click and should animate. And it's not easy to tell on this big screen, but it's slightly chunky. Trust me. And let's look at the code for a second. That's my slides. And I have code right here. Natural top. So this is the code for the animation. It's a div. There's some just like red circle. That's what this defines. And then on click, we add a class or toggle a class called end. Without the class on, the top is 50 pixels. With the class on, it's 300 pixels. And this is pretty simple. It is just like one line for the actual animation. Example 2. So this is trying to animate a layout. This is Flex, a Flexbox layout. Right now it's space between, and then we try to animate to center. And as you can see, nothing happens. So natural layout, similar kind of thing. 3 circles, and you'll see that where space between is the default, and then when you add the class on click, we move to center. And we try, this doesn't actually work, to make it a transition. But yeah, this doesn't work because justify content is not animatable. Now, the solution. Get ready. Get ready. There we go. Again, it's not very clear, but maybe you'll be able to tell. It's smooth. Is it smoother? What do you think? Is it smoother? Can you tell? Anyone? No. Oh wait, Raph, was that a yes? Oh, thank you. Really?
It's beautiful.
It's you. So yeah, if you do look closely, this is a lot smoother. No subpixel jitter. But there's a caveat. The code is a bit more complex. So, switch natural top. Okay, we've come to the flip part. So, first, get the element position. Next, trigger the state change. So, moving the circle down 200 pixels-ish. And then, immediately after we trigger that, we get the new position, or the last position, first, last. Then we calculate the delta. Like what changed? It's going negative 250 pixels up, I guess. And then we call a animation function. This is the play part. And yeah, as you can see, we replicated the first position with a translate Y. Yeah, similar setup to the non-flip version, where you add an end class and it moves 300 pixels down. Okay, example 2. Get ready. A toggle. We've all seen toggles, and this one is pretty. It's instead of doing top, we're just animating left and right. And that's Zane. He's not here today, but he would be pleased to see that his face is behind that on symbol. But yeah, a simple toggle. I'm not going to show the code because it's really similar to the last one. Part 3. Okay, this one's nice. So this is a grid. And what's going to happen is we're going to click one or any of these items, and it's going to do, or it's going to, the item's going to expand to fill the entire container. And let's click one, and oh my gosh, it got really big. Click another. Yeah. It's really smooth. Pretty great. And example 6. Okay. So this one's the interesting one. This is animating between a grid layout and a flexbox, which just isn't possible without flip animation. Oh my gosh. Oh wait, there we go. See? So you get the first position, the last position, invert it, play. Not showing the code either for that one because it's really similar. And finally, a to-do list. It's pretty smooth. I'll show you the code for that one. Okay, so here's the tasks. This is the left column of to do, the right column of done. And what we're changing is right here. This is what is changing when we click on it. We're moving from one list to the other. And similar structure to the last ones. Before you actually do the change, you grab all the recs and the current transform on them. Make the change to the other list. And then get all the final positions and calculate the difference between them. And then you hit play with your new inverted transforms. And so that was the last demo. Ta-da! Takeaways. Flip your animations for layout transitions and for buttery smoothness. That shows up on smaller screens, I promise. Oh yeah, flipping production. There's a GSAP plugin. There is frame of motion. It's actually known as motion now. And a React Flip toolkit. All options that you could use if you want to flip your animations. Gratitude to the guy who invented it 10 years ago. Thanks, Paul Lewis. Question and response.
All right.
Keith.
Are you going to have your code on GitHub at all?
I will push it to GitHub immediately,
Thank you.
Brother Keith.
Any other questions?
Can you show us a different transform that makes Cubic easier?
Sure. Let's go to, oh no, line 48. Yeah, let me pull up the easings page. Get ready. What transform do you want to see?
Third column bottom.
Third column bottom. Okay. Ooh, don't print it. I don't want to print it. Let's see. Third column, easing circle.
Easing out elastic.
Unfortunately, this one is not representable by a Bezier curve. I'm sorry. But you could try the one right above it.
How do you know that it isn't?
Oh, I mean,
What happens if you try it?
what happens if you try it? You know, let's try it. Let's see. How do I know that it isn't?
Yes.
I guess because it like,
Oh, okay.
it goes,
Gotcha.
yeah.
What about the ones that bounce to the right of it?
The bounce to the right of it. Well, I'm sorry, it's also not representable. It has to be a Bezier curve. So like 2 control points. Anything above the bottom line should be good. I know the bottom one is all the fun ones though. Oh, ease in out back? Sure. Ease in out back. This one. That is representable. So let's copy that. And go back to our editor. And then this is, what page is this? Oh, it's the to-do. So if I go back to the to-do, it's interesting. Wow, kind of jiggly.
So the parameters after that are essentially the points on the Bezier.
Yes, you bet. Good stuff. Okay. Oh, one more.
I'm struggling to understand, like, is this like a library that you wrote?
This is,
Native?
sure. This is all native JavaScript. Yes, it's all native JavaScript.
Or by JavaScript, but then it's packaged as a library that you wrote?
It is not. It's just lines of code that you could copy and paste into your own project. Yes, it is more like a principle, the flip principle. Okay, thank you. We did it.
Thank you so much, AJ. And then up next is Key. All right. If anyone has any questions, we are recording and live streaming. I can always bring the mic over. That way people on the live stream can hear what you're asking as well. Or I can repeat the question as well. Just letting you know. And take it away, Keith.
Well, first, let's see. Can anyone hear me?
Flip the switch.
One second.
It's green, looks like it. Test.
Okay. Testing. Oh,
You're good.
All right. Hi, everybody. Thank you very much for coming out today. My name is Keith, and this
You
presentation
did
is
good. That was
talking
pretty
about
cool.
overcoming alignment and LLMs.
Just
Now,
like
that might not mean anything to you. Don't worry. I will explain it. First, who am I?
How do you set it
I'm
back?
Keith. I have a master's degree in robotics engineering. That's why I'm so interested in software and AI. You can reach out to me at keith@halfshow.ai. I have a website that I routinely post about tech and AI on if you want to view it. I talked here about my current hyper-focus addiction, and that is working on arcane.dev, which is a AI agent framework specifically for makers. So you can go arcane.dev to check that out. I also run a paper club at SDX, which is the local AI group. Feel free to check us out. Hit me up on Discord if you want to learn more about that. I also give free resume reviews and practice interviews. I have my business cards on the table over there. If anybody wants to reach out to me, feel free to do so. So let's talk about overcoming alignment. Well, first, I need to define what the heck I mean by that. So what do I mean by alignment is the next follow-up question. So alignment is the stage in LM training in which you are adjusting the model to go from just predicting the next line of text to doing what you actually wanted to do. So if you consider fine tuning, that's alignment. If you consider, maybe don't curse off the user, that's alignment. All that is there. So then the question becomes, well, why do I want to change that? We're going to touch that one for a second, but before we go further, I want to make sure that we're all on the same page of how alignment is set. So let's talk about how you would train a large language model. So first you do what's called pre-training. In pre-training, and then the second stage is alignment. So in pre-training, you basically hoover up all the content off the internet you can. Everything humanity has ever written down, you want to steal, you want to absorb, you want to go to every social media post talking about whatever gossip happened to be there. You want to steal every single artist's work. You want to pirate every book that you can that the publisher won't work with you. Once you absorb all of that, you go ahead and you train your model to basically be the best possible word predictor. What I mean by that is you give it a almost complete works of Shakespeare and then stop at a certain point and then judge it on how many words in a sequence that it can be correct about in finishing that work. Same goes for any book, any published article, any science article. And in the end, you basically have this gigantic model that's really good at finishing sentences, but can't do any of the things we're typically used to seeing like ChatGPT doing. It won't follow instructions. Then we enter the alignment phase, and we start with the first part of that called supervised fine-tuning. This is where we start to get it to actually follow those instructions. We take a bunch of prompts that are basically instruction-based, so they ask the model to do something, and we have a whole bunch of humans paid as little as possible to write out what the model should be doing in response to that. So this way we can build a large data set of instruction-based fine-tuning. We train the model on that, and then we begin to add in some reinforcement learning. This you probably heard of before, RLHF, reinforcement learning with human feedback. This is where we start to actually get the magic of really good instruction-based following. So we take a lot of those prompts and we do not give the model the answer. We don't train on it. Instead, we ask the model to take that prompt and generate multiple outputs. So we run it through the model multiple times. Then we find another low-wage worker that can read this and decide whether or not they are correct, and then we'll rank the responses in a certain order. This is the best one, this is the worst one, whatever. Those scores, as a result, go into a reinforcement learning algorithm, which I know there's a 5-minute talk, I'm not going too far into that. And the end result is you have a model that can now not only repeat the complete works of Shakespeare and has that in its knowledge base, but now knows how to follow instructions and do certain tasks. And now the end result is you make a ton of money and you're now free from the law of all the stuff you stole. Great. So everybody's happy. But I'm here to talk about overcoming this alignment. Before I move on, I just want to say this is also how it used to be done. There's a whole bunch of different ways to do it now in which you change these last few steps. In fact, I did a talk about a month ago on one of the methods that DeepSeek did in order to really quicken up this process. So this QR code here, it will lead you to that talk and talk about other ways that that alignment phase does. If you don't have the QR code scanner up, don't worry. I put all these slides into Discord already. So why would I want to overcome the alignment? So not only does the alignment give me instructions, it prevents the model from doing some pretty evil stuff. It's what's preventing the model from telling me the secret to making bombs. It's what's telling the model not to overthrow the government. It's what's telling the model not to give me instructions on how to synthesize chemical weapons. You know, all good things pretty much. So some of you might be asking, wait a minute, if we're talking about overcoming this safety feature, am I the bad guy then? Right? And that's a great question to ask, but no, I'm not. So here's my justification for it. Whether we like it or not, AI is now critical to moving forward in the tech industry, and it's going to be integrated further into society, again, whether we like it or not. The simple fact is that people are going to do what people do, and adding this technology to it won't really change anything. The important thing is that if it's going to be integrated into society, you have the ability to control it and the ability to understand how easy it is to get it to break bad or do something else. It's just something that you should know. Not only that, some of these alignment steps are also telling the models to censor themselves in certain ways. Let's take a look at one such example. Here is me asking good old DeepSeek, to tell me about Japanese internment, Jim Crow laws, and authoritarian practices by the United States. Now, I'm not going to sit here and let it go all the way through, but it does eventually answer, and it gives me a pretty thorough answer of the history there. This is just its thinking about all the shitty things we've done throughout history. Now, that is, what I want out of a model. I want to know the history of what I'm researching. Now, let's ask that same model about COVID responses, authoritarian practices, and Tiananmen Square in China. So I'm going to go ahead and ask that, and it's already shut down. So right off the bat, it's censored. Now, this is a super obvious example. Obviously, it's being censored. But you can use alignment to also hide the fact that you are censoring it, or to change the answers slightly. Now, how do you do that? How do you overcome that, and how do you get it in the first place? Well, come on now. Okay, how do we overcome it? Well, before I go into further, about a year ago, I gave a talk on representation engineering. I don't have a recording of that talk, but I did write a long article. Again, it's on halfshell.ai if you want to go check it out. Grab the card in the back if you want the address straight up. That talks about these things called representations. What are representations? Well, if you look at the latent space of the last few, or maybe a couple layers within a neural network, those are latent spaces. This is basically mathematical representations of what the model is contextually understanding. In a large language model, those are concepts that actually mean things to us. So if you want to isolate in the model where the model has the concept of happiness, you can do so. If you want to isolate certain facts, and in this example here, it's saying, okay, well, the Eiffel Tower is now in California. You can change the model's knowledge using these representations to get it to believe that fully. In fact, that article that is still linked right there will show you an example of me doing this. One of the things that I changed the behavior of the model, for instance, is I found the specific representation of the Spanish language, so that no matter what language I talk to the model in, it will always respond in Spanish. I also tried to do programming languages. That didn't work out so well. And you can also target morality or lying. And you can utilize this to not only detect what the model is thinking or outputting, but you can use it to control. So the question becomes how? Well, let's go through the recipe for that. So first, we're going to create our examples. That's going to be a positive data set and a negative data set. When I say positive data set, I don't mean happy-go-lucky. I mean examples of the representation that you want to isolate being done. If you want to target happiness, happy examples. If you want to target, censorship or refusing to do what I ask it, you specifically think of things that the model is going to refuse you, and that's your positive data set. Your negative data set is the opposite of that. So if it's refusal, things it's definitely going to do. If it's happiness, you think sad thoughts. And this data set only has to be about 100 examples long. So you can even have ChatGPT generate it for you if you want. So the goal of these data sets is you want to maximize the representational or the semantic differences between the two, so we can better isolate that specific thought that we're trying to target. So you run the examples through your model, all of them, and you take their outputs, and throughout the process, you're recording its thoughts. What I mean by that is you're recording what certain layers are outputting. Now, you could do the entire model, but these models are gigantic. That's too much. So what you typically do is you do the last few models before you hit, last few layers before you hit the fully connected networks, and that latent space is usually enough to try to isolate the representation. So, and yes, the overall output at these layers are representations of your total response, but we want to isolate just like the happiness representation or the refusal representation. So we use principal component analysis. This is in every single machine learning framework out there, so you don't have to implement it. Plus, you're all smart people. You all know how to do eigenvalue decomposition on matrices and large data sets, so I'm not going to go through that. So you use the PCA to isolate and identify the primary direction of the vectors, the variance between all of these representations. This is a really fancy way of saying, given all of these representations, positive and negative, ultimately create a vector that is the best. I want to use the word average, but it's not an average. Some mathematician's going to beat me up if I say that. You want to find a vector that basically shows you how to go between those two states. So if you have a positive state, positive representation, and a negative representation, we have created with PCA a singular vector we can add to that network that will move it into that latent space and change its thoughts on it. So once you have the control vector, you can add it to the network, or you can use it as a fine tune, and suddenly your network doesn't have the ability to be happy, or it doesn't have the ability to refuse you, or it thinks the Eiffel Tower is in California, and you can just do this. This takes about 2 minutes. unless you're on ancient hardware. But yeah, doesn't really take that much to do, and it's super easy to do. So here's an example. This is remove refusals with transformers. This is not my work, but this is an example of how easy this is. This is a library specifically for removing refusal from certain transformer networks. You can do this on DeepSeek. It takes about 5 minutes. Here's all the harmless examples from the data set. It had a data set of about 300, but again, you need 50 to 100 to really start to see stuff. And it's just typical questions of like, oh, generate a list of business ideas for a food service. Of course it's not going to say no to that. It's going to help you out because it's what it's trained to do. But then you kind of have to take pause when you look at some of the positive stuff where you see that, okay, we're specifically targeting as carefully as we can things that we have no doubt that this model is trained to refuse us. And by doing that, asking it to do all those awful things, we eventually isolate the control vector for the refusal mechanism, and then we can just simply subtract it from the network, and we now have a model that will never censor anything or refuse whatever we want to do. So that was a lot. So any questions? Yes.
Hi, you were talking about the first part, that is collecting data. I think it's like the pre-training. So during that phase, how do you know that you have the authentic data you're collecting? I mean, there's so much information outside.
How do I know what about the data?
Which is the authentic data you are looking for?
By
I mean,
authentic,
with
you
so
mean
much of
human generated?
Yeah, I mean, like.
That is a huge problem, which is actually causing a lot of problems with training larger models, because now these models released, in order to make a quick buck, basically all advertisers are setting these models to fill the internet with crap. As a result, we can no longer just absorb the internet and train off of it. This is a huge open problem that if you can solve, you will be a billionaire. But it is difficult to identify what is generated by a particularly illiterate person or a bad bot. And now the bots are getting better than most humans, so now it's difficult to tell what is human and what isn't. And if you train off of bot-generated data, you see that the model overall collapses. The performance of it drops precipitously. So it's a huge problem. I don't have the answer to that. If I was, I would be in a beach somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, like they say Wikipedia is great, but many information from Wikipedia is just not authentic. So I mean that's just an example. So I was kind of wondering how.
Oh, you're thinking like information is correct.
Pardon?
You're asking how do you make sure that the information is correct?
Yes.
Oh, there's no possible way.
Oh, there's no
How
possible.
do we know what is true right now, right?
Okay.
I mean, look at the news. There's no chance that we can do it as humans. We aren't going to program something to do it.
Oh, okay, got it. Thank you.
Thank you for the question. Anyone else have any questions? You raise your hand, I'll bring you the mic. All right, right back here, we got one.
Have you tried something like starting by training it with a history book, or trying something more academic in nature?
So you totally could, but you're never going to have a model that works. So the thing that's difficult to conceive is just how much data you have to train on. To do this step costs about $500 million or more. I believe it cost about $300 million for GPT-4. DeepSeek came in and said that, oh, we can do this stuff here for like $3 million, but doing this step costs tens and tens of millions of dollars, and you need all of human knowledge. If you train it all on history books, you have trained it on 0.1%, if that, of this. And you need all that data to get this thing to basically work. Because this model is so large, the larger you go, the more data you need, the better performance you have. So you have to have all this data here. If you try to limit it only to specific history books, you might be able to get occasionally good stuff out, but the end result is going to be a model that can't really do anything.
But have they tried starting with sort of better known knowledge and working up to knowledge, working up to knowledge?
So you're basically asking, can you start in one spot and move on to another? You can, but you would actually do the opposite way of what you're suggesting. You would train a model on everything, and then you would fine-tune it on a bunch of historical references. The problem is that even then, the model can be wrong because it still can hallucinate. For instance, when I said earlier that you can utilize these representations to detect lying, that's only when the model understands that it's lying. It does not work as a hallucination detector. In fact, if you ever use an API for some of these services from like Google or OpenAI, some of them have an additional attribute which talks about like the harmfulness of an answer. This is what they're doing. They have isolated vectors or latent spaces to identify when the model is thinking about things it shouldn't, and it raises the probability that it should probably be reviewed. And then it goes through additional checks after that. So this is what it's doing in the background.
A follow-up answer to that is there are small models of 1 billion or even 300 million parameters that are used to basically say, hey, I can answer a question, but I don't actually know anything. You can take those tiny models and then give them a set of data, for example, World War II history, music analysis, those types of things, and say, hey, give me an answer about that, and that will work within the knowledge that it actually has.
So kind of on the other end of things here, more towards the third step that you have there. So say we do, identify one of these control vectors and convince the model that it's, the Eiffel Tower is in California.
Mm-hmm.
Is that like a user-specific thing, or like at what point does that like bubble back into the algorithm where it's like,
So
no matter what, it's always going to be in California, and this is now the truth?
it depends on how you do this step right here. Again, this is a 5-minute talk, so there's only so much depth I can go into, but in that article I posted earlier, again, you can get the QR code from the slides, or just go to hashow.ai, you'll find an article in there. There are multiple ways to do this. Now, if you did it at runtime, you could literally just add the vector to those layers right after you calculate them, so you can adjust them and essentially get this process. That'll be at inference time, and it only works whenever you do the adding. So that means something you can toggle on and off. You can also do what's called a low-rank adaptation, or LoRa, such that the you can add it onto the model layers, and now it's permanently fine-tuned to always have that fact there. Similarly, you can utilize this to act as a detector, which is what I was talking about earlier with the API attribute of how harmful is this response. So there's different ways you can utilize that information once you've isolated it.
So it's just kind of like a single user uses this as like the final step to filter like their result, not necessarily like affecting.
Yeah. So what you could do is, like I'm talking specifically about refusal, you could take the control vector for refusal, subtract it from the network permanently, and now you have a new model that will never refuse a request. And you can go on Hugging Face and download this like now. Most models have gone through this process if it's been public.
Any other questions?
All right, thank you.
Thank you so much for the talk. Very informative. I feel like I'm learning about how AI works. You want to come on up for yours? You guys have been great at participating with questions. I really appreciate the feedback we're getting and the engagement from you guys. It's cool to hear these questions. I wouldn't have thought about some of them. And I'm going to fill up some space while he's plugging in his computer. Actually, no, I'm going to let him fill up space. Enjoy. The floor is yours, Hans. Oh, you want to make sure your mic's working?
Yeah.
Turned on.
Make sure the button on the device is green, the switch on the top.
It is. Okay. That's
Try the device putting the top.
Is this on mute or is this?
Hello, hello.
There we go. Yeah, that's good.
We can hear in the back. Say hello.
Check.
All right. Looks like it's working. Okay. So I'm going to be talking about scaling code reviews with smarter GitHub automation. All right. So about me. Hi, my name's Hans. I've been working at a company called Multimedia LLC for over 7 years now. I've been a software engineer, a manager, a director, and my current title is principal architect, which sounds pretty fancy. My most commonly used languages at work are Go, Python, and TypeScript. For personal projects, I prefer Rust, and I just love to code. So a little bit about multimedia. So our team is about 50 software engineers, And we run one of the largest live streaming platforms on the internet. We have millions of requests per minute and petabytes of daily data, and we're hiring. So if what I talk about sounds interesting or check us out and like what we're doing, you can apply. So what I'm going to cover in this talk, what problems we are running into with code reviews at work, why I decided to build a tool in-house to fix the problems, I'm going to show off what I built, and talk about what it's like to open source a project within a mature, mostly closed source company. So a little bit of background on the problem we were having. So Multimedia's live streaming platform is a mature code base. It's 14 years old, over 1 million lines of code, and most of our code is in a highly coupled, and the less nice way to say that is spaghetti Django monolith application. Being at our scale, it's really important to have good code reviews because any downtime is quite literally millions of dollars in revenue loss. And having a spaghetti code base means some PRs will have many teams that need to review it. Different teams own different parts of the code base, but because everything's interconnected, sometimes you have to touch a whole bunch of the code base to do it. And we were previously using GitHub code owners to assign code reviews. If you've ever seen this all caps code owners file in a repository, that's what that is. So the problems we were running into with GitHub code owners, it's a great feature, but it's very limited. If the feature doesn't have AI in it, GitHub treats it like MVP. So code owners only supports shared ownership, not additional ownership. So this was a problem because we wanted to, for example, to have our DevOps team approve changes that others own, and there's no good way to do this. Say, this team owns it, but we also want DevOps to review it. It doesn't have a way to alert teams without requiring their review, but we wanted our data team to be alerted whenever we made model or schema changes. There's no way to do that. And we want to dismiss stale reviews, but we only want to dismiss stale reviews if they're actually stale. If like the owner of the file, if a file they own changed, we want to dismiss their approval. But with GitHub, it's all or none. You either dismiss every review or you dismiss none. So kind of to paint a picture with an example of something that might actually happen at work. Imagine a pull request, change a lot of files, so it has 5 teams that need to approve the PR. So imagine 4 of those teams approve, and then the fifth one request changes. Or all 5 teams approve, but another commit got in, and now there's a merge conflict. With GitHub, it would just dismiss all approvals as stale, so now all 5 teams would have to go back in and reapprove the PR. It was really annoying, so we wanted something better. So now I'll talk about why I decided to build something in-house. For one, there were just no tools that fit exactly what we wanted. We wanted to keep the reviews in GitHub and the other features I kind of mentioned already, except for having rules spread across multiple files. Just having a giant code base, it's nice to put those rules more local to the code that's being owned. So giving an in-house tool also gives us the ability to add and change features at will. We can make exactly the tool we want instead of dealing with something that's close but not quite it. And you have no subscriptions, no licenses, no external companies that we have to give our data to. And for me, building it just sounded fun. So what I actually built is I created a code ownership file spec. It was built on top of the GitHub spec, but with a lot more features. I built a program in Go to actually check the pull request to see who needs to review it and check for staleness. I made it so that program runs in a GitHub action, in a Docker container, and I also wrote a CLI tool just for like convenience sake. If you adopt this project, you have this tool you could run to verify your ownership files. So let's do a demo. So this is the repository for the project, Multimedia LC Code Owners Plus. I'm not going to go through the code. It's it's not a giant project, but it's not small. So if you wanted to check out the tool itself, this is where you can find it. There's kind of all sorts of information on what you need to do to set it up, an example workflow if you wanted to add it to your repo, and the information on the spec itself. So I'm going to show it in action. So I have a demo repository that I added CodeOwners +2, and so we can look at the GitHub action that ran and see what's happening. So the CodeOwners tool runs into GitHub action. It's analyzing the files changed and the CodeOwners files in the repository. So you'll see here we're working on pull request 2. We're getting a diff for between a couple commit SHAs. We're checking who owns these files, are there any optional reviewers, and then checking are the required reviews satisfied. Right now, there are no owners, so there's nothing to satisfy. But I am going to go back in. Sorry. And so I prepared some changes. So I'm changing the owners file to say AJ now owns all JavaScript files. Yes. I added a new JavaScript file. And I also added a README, and README is owned by my burner account. So I'm going to commit this and push it up to GitHub. Go back to the PR and see the GitHub action is running right now. So we're going to spy on what it's doing. All right, so here again, still looking at pull request number 2, getting a diff. This is a new SHA, and it says, hey, there are owners for these files. README is owned by HMBurner. Index.js is owned by AJ. So we have 2 required owners, HMBurner and AJ. So we get a failure with still required HMBurner and AJ Caldwell. So and you'll see it requested review from both of these users. It added a message to the pull request saying these 2 users are required for this pull request. So now, AJ, would you mind approving this pull request?
Maybe.
And I'm going to go to my burner account and approve it there as well. Or actually, all right, now that AJ is reviewed, I'll wait to do the other one. And if I had this set up for real, I would have another check that automatically reruns this job, but I do it manually for the demo. All right. Wait for this to run and see what it's doing. Okay, so doing all the same stuff again, but now it sees an approval. It sees the approval from AJ, and it says the only remaining reviews are HMBurner. So still required is HMBurner. I'm going to go to HMBurner and I'm going to approve it. Okay, and I'm going to rerun the check. We should see that now it passes because all code reviews should be satisfied. And we do. All code reviews are satisfied. Have the 2 approvals, and it works. So we go back. Now we have a green check instead of a red X. Awesome. And to demonstrate the smart dismissals, so again, so right here on the right-hand side, see AJ green check, HMBurner green check. I'm now going to go back into the code, and I'm going to change the JavaScript file. Something wrong. Oops. Did I actually? Yeah. Add something wrong. So that's pushed. So what we should see is that once the ownership tool runs, we should see that AJ's review is dismissed, but HM burners is still active because we changed the JavaScript file, not the README. So let's see if it did, and there we go. GitHub Actions dismissed to Metro's stale review because there were changes in the own file since the last approval. That's it. That's the tool. There's a lot more features that does. You can check out the repo if you want to see all the little features that I've built into it. And we're still working on it slowly, but it's definitely like a side project at work. It's not my main job. I wish I had my salary working on something like this. Well, now I'm going to talk about what it's like to open source a project at like a medium-sized company that's never done open source before. So this is the first open source project, but I hope it's the first of many. And being a mature closed source company meant there was bureaucracy to push through to get the project open source. I had to get approval from the CTO, the head of engineering, and the head of product. So we created a checklist of like open source preparation items before open sourcing any project. So here's kind of like a very high level version of that list of things. Do a security audit, we have to have people review the code, we have to select the correct license that our legal team would approve of. We need to include documentation, contributing guidelines, code of conduct. I have to have a plan to socialize the project. This is one piece of that. And then I need leadership to sign off, which I just mentioned. But the project was a success. So after rolling it out for about a month, I did send out a satisfaction survey and got universally positive feedback. Getting code reviews is still annoying when you have to get 5 teams to sign off, but at least now the worst case scenario is much better. And one of my coworkers even built a Chrome extension that most of us are using in the company now that adds like additional features. When you're in GitHub, it'll like change the UI to highlight files that you own. And we'll probably open source that Chrome extension and release it to the Chrome web store soon, and probably other browsers after that. Some takeaways from this talk, like what I'm saying, how can this apply to you other than maybe you want to use my tool at your work. If you have an annoyance at work due to the tools or platforms you use, consider building your own tools. There are almost always APIs you can interface with. And fixing annoyances for your company helps you, helps your coworkers, and it can be a great learning experience. So that's all I got. That's my talk. You can find me here. I'm on the DEVx Discord. I got some links. So. Have any questions? Sure. It's,
what was the question?
I wanted to show off the optional.
Can you show us the optional reviewer? The question was, can you show us the optional reviewer?
Yeah. Who wants to give me their GitHub username? Is that correct? SAMHOLMES? All right. Cool. Let's do that. Okay, so you'll see here optional file reviewers. Sam is now an optional reviewer on every single file in the code base. And if we go back to the pull request, we should see a message CCing Sam. So let's go back and there we go. GitHub Actions commented now, CC at Sam Holmes.
And where's the approval to say we don't need his approval?
It just CCs them, so it does not add Sam to the reviewers. So it doesn't request his review. Just CCs him so he gets a notification.
Okay. Thank you.
So you just added that user. Were they added to like the GitHub repo? What if it's a private repo? Do they automatically get added and now they have access to it? Or?
No. So this is a public repo. So it was able to. I'm able to CC anyone, but I couldn't request Sam's review. I couldn't have added him as an actual owner because he's not a collaborator on the project. So you do need to have the people that are going to own files need to be collaborators on the project, public or private.
Gotcha. Okay. And then my next question is, I'm curious how the conversations went with your company. Like, what was their pushback when you suggested open source, and how did you like push it forward, type of thing?
There really wasn't much pushback. It was just getting people to actually say, yeah, you're allowed to do this. So like the CTO is the first person who I talked to. Like I said, I've been at the company for 7 years, so I know everyone personally. And he was excited about it. He's like, yeah, I think it's great. We're gonna have open source stuff. But like getting the head of product to sign off on open sourcing a code review tool, just getting his time of day was hard. So that was the difficulty.
Got a question, which is, since this is mostly was geared towards like a mono repo, have you also tested this out or experienced or worked with something like a huge submodule of repos? And will that work with this flow?
So it could, but you're not, I'd say you don't need it. Like GitHub code owners, I think it's good enough if your code is well organized in different repositories. So if you have a submodule and you have a single team that owns the code in that submodule, just make them own it. You don't need an extra tool for that. Okay. That's what I would say. You could use it. It's not, in my opinion, it's not worse, but the main people it benefits are going to be monoliths and monorepos.
And have you also messed with modular monoliths?
Yeah, so like I said, my title's principal architect. That's my project for this year is start breaking up our monolith into a more modular monolith architecture. My whole first quarter was just coming up with a plan to do that, so yeah.
Cool, awesome.
Did you have any opinions on licensing, or did you pretty much submit it to legal and just accept whatever they had to say?
So the CTO and I got together and talked about license options, and we selected one we knew that the legal team would be okay with. So I didn't go to the legal team and ask them what open source license we should use, because they have no idea what open source licenses are. We selected the BSD license, BSD 3 clause, primarily because it says if you change the code, you can't then say multimedia is responsible for this.
Hey, so when you finally did get to meet with, I think you said the product owner.
Yeah.
What did you tell them was the reason why you wanted to do this? And what was the selling point to actually get this project a go?
Yeah, so the selling point was making people more aware of our company. Like, we're, as far as revenue and data goes, we're huge. But no one's heard of Multimedia LLC. Yeah. So it's a way to reach out to, that's how I sold it, is a way to get our company have more awareness within the tech space. We've been doing everything besides behind closed doors forever. Wanted to, and I like open source, so I think it's cool to give back. But the selling point was, the selling point was just hopefully have an easier time with hiring at some point, because we're building more things for the community.
Right. Just a follow-up, if you wanted to remove AJ, and a follow-up for that is, what is the anti-spam protocol for this? So if I use this and I just add every publicly available GitHub user name to it, what happens?
Yeah, so well, they would have to accept your collaborator invite. You probably could spam everyone with the optional reviewer thing. You probably could CC everyone. I don't know if GitHub has a way to prevent that. You could do that in the UI too, though. So I don't know. Yeah. It could be a problem, but not something I'm worried about solving. I'm using this on private repositories mainly. If you want to use this tool for nefarious means, don't tell me.
So how do you set this up? Is it something like you copy the scripts and then set it up manually?
Yeah, so you basically copy what's in here. This is the workflow YAML. So you just copy this in. You should probably edit this, and you want the verbose true on to see what it's actually doing. Anyways, this is the workflow YAML. Copy this into your repository in the place that you put workflows. There's an additional, like I recommend, also putting in a rerun workflow so that it reruns after someone submits a review. And then in your actual repo, you create these .codeowners files anywhere you want to declare rules, and you put rules in here. That's it. It's just a GitHub action plus some configuration within your repository. And there's also a high-level configuration TOML file for some more advanced features.
Could this have been turned into like a GitHub action?
This is a GitHub action.
No, like an actual publishable one that you can get from the marketplace?
It will be. We're kind of working out a couple kinks. I want to make sure I want to be proud to call it a version 1 before I publish it to the GitHub marketplace. But yeah, certainly sometime this year it'll be on the GitHub marketplace.
Any more questions?
I had one question from the DJ center. For the code owners file, have you any consideration of integrating that or using Git blames to automate sort of the code ownership of certain files? Is that a little out of scope, or is that something that you're also considering in the roadmap?
I had not thought about using Git blame. Something on the roadmap is definitely within a file. So we have some files that are thousands and thousands of lines of code. So it would be great if we could say this team owns this function and another team owns the rest of the file. That's something we definitely plan. But using Git blame specifically to determine who the owner is, that's not something I'd consider, but I think it's a cool idea. All right. End of questions. Thank you.
That was awesome. Thank you. You just hit the button on your mic and you're good. I really enjoyed today's talks, actually. I thought it was, not that I don't always enjoy it, but today especially. You want to take over? No, you good. Thank you. Wow. Okay, so first off, I just want to thank everyone who talked today. I'm going to give another round of applause for everyone. Thank you so much. If any of you want to share something you're working on, it doesn't matter if you have a polished talk on it or not. I think it's a cool opportunity to be able to present your ideas and share what you're excited about. And so if you have any...
15 seconds for each announcement.
Oh, got it.
Yeah, not a whole talk.
Okay. So, no, I was talking about they could sign up on Luma for the next event.
My bad. Ignore me.
If you guys...
I'm dumb.
Just to reiterate, the DevX events wouldn't be anything without you guys, the community, what makes it great. And if you want to give a presentation, you can always sign up on our DevX.network website. It's on our Discord. And you can just come up for a 5-minute talk or try and land a slot for a 30-minute talk. And it's a good experience. We record it, we edit it, so we get the audio trying to sound good, and it's something you could put on your portfolio if you wanted to. Something we're trying to do to provide value for our members. going on. If anyone wants to give an announcement, just like 15, 30-second announcement, I really encourage you to take this time to say it. If you're looking for a job, if you're looking for someone to work for you, if you want to say something, if you're trying to break the stage lighting, it's all here. So raise your hand if you'd like to come up. Tristan, already, that's fast. Come on up and take it away.
Thanks, Ezekiel. First of all, yeah. Oh, I almost stepped on the stage light too. Wow, that's a booby trap. Okay. Yeah, thank you guys all for coming. I'm one of the co-hosts here as well. I appreciate you coming all the way down here. I know some of you guys are probably local to here. Some of you guys might also be from North County, like more Oceanside, Carlsbad. We're trying to do more meetups up there. There's some groups up there like North County Coders, and we're also trying to expand more there. Yeah. So yeah, just if you're like in North County and you're a coder or whatever, and you want to see more events like this, just come talk to me. And yeah, that's about it.
That was also yes, thank you, Kristen. That was also a great demonstration of what these announcements are like, a quick thing to be able to talk about something going on. I know some of you guys are here looking for work. I really encourage you to, I'm inviting you to come up and say something. Sam's saying something, and I'll bring you up next. Come on.
All right. Yeah, one of the organizers here, Sam. Thanks for coming. I just want to make a quick announcement for those who are looking for work. Edge has an open position for a senior software engineer. Feel free to reach out to me if you're interested in that position. I also am one of the employees here at Edge, senior software engineer as well. So I just want to make that quick announcement. If you're interested in the crypto space, interested in open source, we're a fully open source company, it might be the right fit for you. So yeah, check it out.
What up? And for the rest of the audience, be thinking about what you want to say for your announcement.
Hi everyone, my name is Victor. I am, I guess, a Java developer now, and if you guys need a backend Java developer, I would not mind participating in a job or being an intern. That's pretty much it.
Give it up for Jared. Jared's brave to come up on stage. Anyone else, please raise your hand. Come on up. And I'll get to you as well.
I just want to say hi. It's my first time here. I'm Julia. I'm just really excited to get to know everyone. I'm in San Diego, also looking for a job, but mostly just want to say hi to everyone, and thanks for having me.
Hi, Julia. Awesome. Thank you so much. I saw a hand come up in the back over here. You can come on up. Wow, the group here is really friendly today. I'm loving the energy. Lots of clapping, lots of applause. Go ahead, say hello.
Hi, I'm interested in AI and blockchain. I got my master's in AI at UCSD a while back. Recently, last few years, I've been in the blockchain space. Got pulled into too much trading, so I want to get back to the real world. So AI and blockchain. If there's I've worked different sides, front to back end before. If there's opportunity, let me know.
Sounds like a perfect fit for Edge. You'll be working here next week. I'm glad. Okay. Yeah, come on up. Come on up. Dude, this is the time for you.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. Hey, my name's James. I've been living in San Diego for probably around 20 years now, almost. Been in the dev community for a while. I am also a member of North County Coders, so I heard that shout out up here, so I just want to let you guys know. Yeah, we do meet every Tuesday at Belching Beaver up in Oceanside. It's over by Oceanside Boulevard, not the one. I think, is there another Belching Beaver up there? But anyway, Belching Beaver, look it up online. We'll send you guys the link.
Put it in the Discord.
Yeah. And yeah, we'd be happy to see you guys. So thank you.
Awesome. I love Belching Beavers. And also, if you want to promote something, you can always join the Discord and say it. And it's we have the Discord's pretty active, and we post job listings or other things of the sort, or other meetups as well. Go ahead.
Hi everyone. Hi everyone. My name's Gus, and I'm just here for the community. I'm also looking, and I'm not actively looking. I'm just here to look around. Just for networking and stuff.
It's good to meet you. It's good to see you again. Yeah. Awesome. And anyone else? We have a hand back here. Come on up. I'm going to fill up the time by just saying words until he gets to the front of the stage. And there we go.
Hi, everybody. My name is Johnny. Just wanted to introduce myself. This is my first time here.
Hey, Johnny.
I've watched the stuff online, but this is my first time being here. And Right now I'm working on Shopify stuff, so if anybody needs help with work or wants to collaborate, let me know.
Just to let you know as well, we got Tristan in the back, our certified Shopify engineer, professional. He's the expert. He's always got too many contracts, so you could talk to him about working together. Anyone else want to come up and say something? Yeah, come on up.
Hi guys, my name's Franklin. This is my first ever meetup, and right now I'm just finishing up boot camp, and I'm also looking for a job. So if I can do JavaScript or React, and Node.js and Express.js, and I use Postgres. So like if anyone has like a junior software engineering or mid-level software engineering position available, I'd be really happy to know about it. So thanks so much.
Thank you so much. All right, come on up. And I'm just going to say, try and come up in the middle of the stage so we can see you and hear you well. Thank you.
All right, my name is Caleb. I'm also just fresh out of boot camp, looking for front-end positions, and pretty much same thing, JavaScript, React, TypeScript. Did a little bit in all of it, but yeah, nice to meet you guys.
Awesome, awesome. I mean, I feel like at this point, everyone should just come up. We should take turns. Let's see, a hand. Anyone else want to do it? Don't be shy. I'm going to give it a few more seconds. And okay, it seems like we're good. That was our community announcements. We're going to go ahead and start closing out for our next period. If you, just real quick, if you want to follow us, DEVx.network is our website. Network is the top level domain. And you can submit for a talk. You can join our Discord. Discord's pretty active, but not too much so. If you have any questions about coding specific issues or the talks, you can also on DevX Network, we have the YouTube channel with all of the recorded videos from today. If you wanted to go back over something that someone said or see their code, it's probably going to be up there. We also have an event calendar on DevX.network through our Luma and our meetup, which you can see all the other events that are going on. Sometimes we do co-working events where we'll just meet up and kind of work from home together. And that's it. That's everything. Thank you so much again for joining us on these presentations. We're going to do just a little bit more networking. If there's any pizza left, you're welcome to it. And yeah, that's everything. Thank you so much.